Can you believe we're already in October? Time really waits on no man, so stop procrastinating. Get cracking on that project. Welcome to this Tuesday's edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Coming up, Prime Minister Andrew Holness addresses the United Nations General Assembly, a cuisine rich in heritage, and some tips on preventing breast cancer. Stay with us. We begin with the news after this message.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, October 4. Government gave the all-clear for the resumption of normal operations in the country this morning as the Meteorological Service advised that the country was no longer in danger of severe impact from Hurricane Matthew. Government ministries, agencies and departments reopened for service to the public at 10 a.m., while private sector businesses were similarly encouraged to resume operations. This came after the Met Service discontinued the tropical storm warning that was in effect for the country since yesterday, coming from a hurricane warning over the past few days.
Jamaica, luckily and happily, was outside of the ambit of the most violent activity from this hurricane, and we are grateful to God for that. The system continues to move toward the north, and it will therefore continue to move away from Jamaica. So the latest position is that there is likely to still be some occurrence of rainfall over sections of the country. Now we are happy to know that the threat of Hurricane Matthew has been entirely removed from the island.
As a result, Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie said the National Emergency Operations Center, NEOC, would remove all levels of preparedness. He commended the staff of the NEOC, the Met Service, and Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management for their response, and praised first responders such as the police and military for their services during the period, while insisting that the country could never be over-prepared for a disaster such as that which the strong Category 4 hurricane could have posed to Jamaica. The local government minister said there were lessons to be learned and a report on the response would be made in short order.
We are going to be examining a lot of the things that needs to be changed. We are going to make adjustments because it is necessary. I don't expect that the country is going to get from us by Friday a report on what took place, because it is going to take time for us to put all those reports together. But I want to assure the country that we will definitely give an update as to the performance of the agency.
In the meantime, all shelters across the island began scaling down operations today. Nearly 2,000 persons sought refuge from Matthew's possible impact on the island. The local government minister says the shelters should all be closed down by this Friday.
The majority of shelters by 2 o'clock today will be deactivated. You know that there are in some areas where there may be still concerns of residents, and we will facilitate those concerns. So by Friday, all shelters should be deactivated.
And with the closing down of shelters, government has announced that all schools should resume classes by this Friday. Those schools which were not being used as shelters were ordered to reopen their doors tomorrow, October 5.
And we are expecting that by by Friday, schools will be fully back in operation, and by Monday morning we would have had 100% resumption of classes throughout the country.
The Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, resumed limited bus service this morning following clearance from OPM. The company said only some routes and a limited number of buses had been put in operation today because of uncertainty about the integrity of the road surfaces on a number of routes and existing challenges in some areas. These included a section of Marcus Garvey Drive, which was earlier closed to vehicular traffic but reopened after works by the National Works Agency today. NWA personnel also worked to clear the road to Port Royal, which had been blocked overnight. The Works Agency's communications manager, Stephen Shaw, also told JIS News that the Williamsfield to Glengough Road in Mount Industry, St. Catherine, which was affected by land slippage, and Roselle in St. Thomas, which was impacted by high tide, were both passable. In the meantime, the Norman Manley International Airport resumed full operations at 12 noon today. Passengers booked on cancelled flights from previous days were advised to contact their travel agents or the airline's customer care number for rebooking options. And finally, government is urging Jamaicans to pray for the people of Haiti who are now suffering the full brunt of Hurricane Matthew. The Category 4 hurricane made landfall on the island early this morning, bringing strong winds and torrential flood rains. Local Government Minister Desmond Mackenzie says while Jamaicans give thanks for being spared a similar fate, we should keep our Haitian neighbors in mind. He announced that government was meeting to discuss how Jamaica could assist that country in the aftermath of Matthew.
The situation so far in Haiti seems to be very, very, very bad. There will be a substantial damage, not just to property, but substantial lives will be lost already, have been lost already in Haiti. And we, as a people, must now start to concentrate our efforts on where we go in assisting our brothers and sisters in Haiti.
He announced that government was meeting to discuss how Jamaica could assist that country in the aftermath of Matthew.
I will be presenting that response to the Prime Minister later on today, and as soon as conditions warrants, we will make an attempt to get our assistance to the people of Haiti. And I want to use this opportunity to start to ask Jamaicans now to make a pledge to assist the people of Haiti. I, as the minister, will make $100,000 to open the pledge to the relief program to assist our brothers and sisters in Haiti. And I would ask my fellow Jamaicans to join in.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching. The JIS Heritage Competition is back. Enter your essay, poster, or photo and win big prizes. If you're aged 9 to 12 years, enter the essay competition and tell us who is your favorite Jamaican sportsman or sportswoman and why. High school students, enter the poster competition. This year's theme is Jamaica's Rich Sporting Heritage. If you're a tertiary level student, enter the photo competition. This year's theme is I Am a Sports Champion. Competition closes for all 3 categories on November 6. Get started now. For information on submission and competition guidelines, visit our website at jis.gov.jm, call 926-359-024, extension 2137, or send an email.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness and a delegation recently represented Jamaica at the 71st United Nations General Assembly in New York. We have the highlights.
Mr. President, like many other countries, our path towards sustainable development has been hindered by years of low growth, crippling national debt, and high unemployment, which have been exacerbated by our vulnerability to natural hazards and other exogenous shocks. Consistent with the priorities of Jamaica's Vision 2030 and the Global Sustainable Development Goals, my government is implementing strategies to achieve economic growth, job creation, security, and poverty alleviation. These are our overriding objectives for the next 4 years. Mr. President, while we pursue a self-reliant path, I must bring to the attention of the General Assembly a matter that requires international cooperation. Highly indebted middle-income countries like Jamaica, a group I wish to call the HIMIC countries, are poised for economic transition with relatively high levels of health and education attainment. However, in a climate of historically low economic growth, this potential is gravely threatened by having to choose between debt repayment and catalytic growth spending. In these circumstances, developing countries would previously be able to tap into development assistance that can be used for growth-inducing counter-cyclical investment in infrastructure, which in turn strengthens debt repayment capacity. However, arbitrary classification on the basis of GDP per capita precludes HIMIC countries, highly indebted middle-income countries, from accessing such resources. The time has come for the international community to similarly converge around a HIMIC initiative, underpinned by the principle that highly indebted countries that have undiversifiable structural vulnerabilities such as small size or susceptibility to the effects of climate change, and that responsibly and faithfully service their debt, should be facilitated with assistance in the form of investment, favorable trade, technology transfer, security cooperation, and energy. Jamaica will work with development partners to pursue debt for climate change swaps. This holds the potential of providing bilateral and multilateral relief for climate change adaptation and mitigation initiatives. Such a mechanism has the potential to provide fiscal relief while helping to unlock pledged climate financing to fund adaptation and mitigation initiatives. As a climate vulnerable country, Jamaica will play its part to close the climate implementation gap while at the same time addressing our debt overhang. This has the potential to be a groundbreaking approach. Mr. President, peace and security is a sustainable development goal. It is often spoken about in the context of peace between states. However, peace within states is just as important. Tackling crime is a priority for our government. While the Jamaican government will do its part, the common problem we face in our region requires deeper security cooperation. Mr. President, the international community must also move with greater alacrity towards eradicating the illicit trade in small arms and light weapons. Jamaica has been a staunch supporter of the Arms Trade Treaty, and we are working towards its full and effective implementation. We call on all arms exporting countries to abide by their legally binding obligations under the treaty. Mr. President, we need to effectively address the emerging crisis of the withdrawal of correspondent banking services to certain financial institutions in the Caribbean. De-risking threatens our economies. this tends to hinder our participation in the global financial system and in international trade. This in turn creates serious obstacles to our efforts towards promoting investments. We respect and have been complying with financial regulatory standards and working within a rules-based multilateral trade and financial system. Trade represents 70% of the Jamaican economy, and as such, de-risking measures threatens our integration and economic viability. Therefore, we encourage our international partners to take the approach of establishing principles that ensure inclusive development strategies based on a country's ability to engage in vibrant, dynamic international trade. At this 71st session, let us recommit to the ideals of the Charter and the noble ideals of this organization. And let us recommit to achieving the goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Let us join together in the spirit of the National Pledge of Jamaica to advance the welfare of the whole human race. I thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Tufton, Jamaica's Minister of Health. Zika virus threatens all of us, but as individuals, we have the power to protect ourselves. 75% of mosquito breeding sites are found in and around our homes. So if we all do our part in getting rid of these mosquito breeding sites, we will reduce the risk of becoming infected. It's our responsibility. Individual action is key. Let's fight ZIKV.
It's Heritage Month, and one unique aspect of our heritage is our food. Our diverse and sumptuous dishes are influenced by the cooking techniques of our forefathers. Let's savor the taste.
Annatto, pimento, peppers, spices that bring flavor to meals, yams, coconut, pork. It's a buffet of traditional foods, what some men refer to as strong-back meals, what grandparents call soul food. It's a serving of heritage dishes, Jamaican delights. Freed slaves were resilient people. Many were warriors, some mountain runners. The foods they ate fueled their strong arms and speedy feet. Today, we continue to eat some of those same foods, leading experts to conclude that it's the substance for the greatness of the Jamaican people.
One can imagine when the Maroons reach the mountains and realize now they don't have the food that the slave masters used to provide them with, then they would have had to find a way to survive.
Dr. Powell has been in the culinary industry for more than 30 years, traveling through every nook and cranny of the country, observing the authentic way of preparing Jamaican dishes. With that wealth of knowledge, the culinary expert penned a book, Sweet Runnings Cookbook. The colorful book comprehensively documents the Jamaican cuisine, providing today's housewives with the necessary information to whip up a tasty dish in honor of the ancestors. As a reminder of how a few popular Jamaican meals are prepared, we entrusted the cooking to the expertise of multi-award-winning chef Carl Hart of the Pantry Caterers.
Today I'm preparing one entree, a soup, and a dessert. The entree, or main entree, would be stew peas with pig's tail and corn pork, traditional. The pork not touching this one though. It's corn pork, pig's tail, and my dessert is sweet potato pudding, the traditional method, with the hella top, hella bottom, hallelujah in the middle kind of, and a soup, which is pepper pot soup, and the beverage, which is the thing we'll use and wash down everything. I hear people make such a big deal about stew peas. It's also one of the one-pot meals that is so very simple to make. One thing, you can't have stew peas is not have spinners. What are spinners? Little spinners, flour dumpling. A lot of people are also, because of health conscious reasons or maybe traditional reasons, would opt not to use regular white flour. I remember my mother used to make some of the tastiest dumplings from Greater Dasheen, cassava, any of the above. So let me see what my stew pea is going on with over here now. My stew peas should be ready. Wow, yeah. Nice. You know, sometimes when you go to restaurants, you wonder why the stew peas just taste so floury, and you wonder why they stay so far and put the peas in there. I like to see my stew peas looking peasy and meaty and nicely reduced. Usually, for a pork lover like myself, you could cook it with meat. But for vegetarians, it's perfectly tasty to go along with a no-meat vegetable soup. Basically, this is about coming together of all the ingredients. See, without putting a thickening agent, all the vegetables have been nicely reduced and come together. But I have one last ingredient to add, which would be my janga, or the crayfish. But sometimes you can add it because you don't want it mixed up and kind of get lost in it. This is pepper pot soup with yam, little dumplings, janga, and you know. And even as children, you can get children to eat callaloo, but they'll eat this. The method of cooking was not an oven like we do now, which we usually put on a pot with water and then mix the pudding and put it on top of the steam, and then get a piece of zinc, and we made the charcoal or wood sticks and put it. So this was the hell at the top, the hell at the bottom, and the hallelujah is in the middle.
Look at this lovely fufu made with yellow yam, and of course, you know, the yam was cooked and then pounded in the mortar, and then the stew peas. When you look at the spinners, they're just standing out at you. And of course, in those days, our foreparents, they always washed down the meal, you know, and they used to have a lot of beverage, you know. And Carl made this fantastic drink with some sugar, cane sugar, and with civil orange. This is really a fantastic representation of post-emancipation dishes. So you don't have to worry about the expensive flour, imported flour. Just pound some yam, some dasheen, or even pound some cassava. You can pound plantain, and you can have that as your staple with your various protein dishes.
Housewives, cooks, when next you're deciding on what's for dinner, consider one of these savory Jamaican dishes, nutritious and wholesome.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Well, it's good to know that people are informed about breast cancer. You may contact the Jamaica Cancer Society if you need more information. Now, the story of one woman who survived this disease.
I would normally do my mammogram in October, but in September of 2010, I felt 2 small lumps under my arm. I was more or less a little frightened because I am very health conscious. Right? It happened on a Thursday, so I went to my doctor on the Friday and I showed her. And she examined it and she gave me some antibiotic that was a black dot. You know, it would be removed by the medicine in the antibiotic. But it didn't remove, so then she sent me to Dr. Faye Alexander, and then she confirmed that it was cancer.
You're sufficed with a wealth of hope and resilience.
After I went to my GP, he sent me to a surgeon, and he examined me, and then he explained to me what he would have to do. He gave me several options, whether I want to keep the breast, remove the lump, or just get rid of the breast. I opt for getting rid of the breast because, you know, I just feel sure that, okay, when I get rid of it, it can't come back again in that breast. So I had long hair, so I make sure to cut my hair off, that when I start to lose it, nobody would say, and what happened to your hair and things like that, because they would have used to my hair being short already. So I did that, and when it started to fall off, I got a wig made, and then the treatment started. I did 18 treatments, and the last one was this medication called Herceptin, which is very expensive, but I got help from my church, I got help from Minister of Health, I got help from Face the Commodity and my friends, and they stood behind me in prayers. I can tell you right now, the chemo wasn't very nice, you feel sick, but I didn't allow it to bother me so much. Even though I felt sick, I know exercise will be good. So I walked 1.5 miles every day. Yes, I didn't stop from work. I think I only stopped from work once. Yes, and I walked to and from work. One of the things I did, which I am thankful for, I stay away from anyone who would speak negatively about breast cancer. And anybody who has breast cancer, any woman or anybody who has cancer, I would advise them to stay away from people who speak negatively, because that would only, sort of discourage you and make you want to give up. But I didn't give up. Even though I saw my nails started to turn black, my hair fell off, my complexion got black, everything that you didn't expect. But because I had a good doctor, they sort of walked me through everything what I would go through, and I felt very confident, and with God as my guide, I know I could beat cancer. And I would advise people, just once you see something, as a matter of fact, don't even wait. Make sure you do your test, especially women, do your mammogram every year. It is good.
And that's a wrap on today's Jamaica Magazine. Women, we encourage you, once you reach 40 years old, to start doing your mammograms. Early detection can save your life. Keep informed of government news by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm, and stay connected with us on our various social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching, and keep safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.